Sure.
It seems likely that local jurisdictions will increasingly be forced to rely upon local funds for transportation improvements. The National Highway Trust Fund will run out of money this summer, and state funds for transportation investments are extremely limited. But to the extent this is true, local governments are likely to have to cut other budgets or raise new monies through new fees or taxes to provide funding for transportation. It's a multiple question. How important is the local transportation system? Would you cut other public services to provide funding for transportation? Would you support increases in taxes and fees to pay for streets and roads?
Thank you for the question. Just a previous response, talk about leadership. When UCSC decided to go through its planning process and they were going to grow significantly, I, as the mayor, led a negotiation so that now while UCSC's grown, they're using 40 million less gallons of water every year than they were a few years ago, and that's with thousands of more students. That's leadership, that's improvement, that's benefiting our community. In terms of transportation, we have to make investments in our county transportation system. Our county roads are under serious disrepair. Almost half our roads don't meet the basic standards for what they need to be. We are going to have to do a couple things. One, we have to grow our economy. This county of Santa Cruz has not been good about attracting business and attracting tax dollars. The city of Santa Cruz at one time had a reputation. Now we're profiled by the Silicon Valley Business Journals and other places, the hot place to come do business, because we changed the culture, we changed some policies, and we led. We can do the same thing at the county of Santa Cruz. There's some opportunities to generate some significant tax funds that can go to things to pay for roads. The second piece is, in the city, when I first got elected, more than, I think it's 70% of our roads were not meeting basic standards. We developed a plan, we went to the voters and said, if you approve this short-term sales tax, this is how many roads we're going to fix. This is the timeline we're going to fix them on. This is the yearly reports we're going to make, and this is how we're going to do it. And we put our word on the line, and we put our leadership on the line. The city voters approved that. We made the improvements. More than 60% of the roads in Santa Cruz have now been improved. The money's bonded. The rest of the roads are going to be improved. And it's through that sort of leadership. Passing a tax in the county is not easy, but if we can show the voters a clear outcome that improves their quality of life, that shows that we're accountable and gives them annual metrics that they can hold us accountable for, I believe we can pass it and make the much needed repairs in our county road infrastructure.
There's a serious disconnect in Santa Cruz County with transportation over the automobile. And these are quite often people that have Priuses and BMWs and suggest that you ought to take a train from Santa Cruz to Capitola to go to work. And they're willing to sink $100 million, or think they can, into a passenger rail service. Right? And if you disagree with them, well, you're being obstinate. You're going against what they think is the correct approach. The correct approach, where the future is heading, is autonomous vehicles. This is not just me talking. If you look at what Google has accomplished now, within the next 10 years, autonomous vehicles are going to be pervasive. We ought to be on the cutting edge of this. In terms of taxes, of course, and taxes need to be presented in a way that people are going to see the benefits. And I want to say one thing about what's changing this community diametrically is the influx of people from over the hill that are moving here, that have moved here, that have changed the tenor of the community and have shifted the old progressive establishment to where they're now running for cover because they don't have any choice, because they're losing their hardcore constituency, right, over these beliefs, over these double standard beliefs, in my opinion. And I'm not a progressive, for the very reason that I find those positions to be very distasteful, very disingenuous, and hypocritical. I see these folks with their BMWs and their Priuses. Nothing wrong with a Prius or a BMW. But if you're going to tote a smartphone around and tell people that they got to live within their means while you're living off of a trust fund or a pension from UC Santa Cruz, I say that's hypocrisy. And I say it's time that the community recognize this and made a shift in 2014. This is the year where this community can make a shift away from the progressive establishment, which has had 40 years of control, all right? And bring in some new opportunity, new blood, new leadership that can inspire and empower and let's move ahead and move forward. Taxes, to the degree that they make sense, do make sense. It may well be sensible to talk about a tax, to advocate a tax for public safety. When it takes 30 to 45 minutes for an officer to get the body dune, to respond to an emergency call, by the time they get there, it's over with. Whatever was going to happen is over with. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim?
So before I would agree to the proposal of a half-cent sales tax, and on our question, it was a $10 addition to your registration fee. So I want to explore a couple of things. A more equitable distribution of gas tax to the RTC projects and to our local roads, which is part of RTC. And I say that because over the last maybe 15 years, as budgets get pulled and yanked and changes, gas tax, which used to take care of our roads, has been siphoned off for other things. So we have to absolutely be sure that we get back to a place where gas tax and things that we pay for things to run on the highways get back to doing that. The other thing I have to say on behalf of the Pajaro Valley is I would be very careful to support this tax. Careful meaning I would caution against it, because if Measure G passes in the city of Watsonville, which is a half-a-cent tax, there's no possible way that I can see that another half-a-cent tax on top of this half-cent tax for public safety is going to get any traction at all. So having said that, we need to take a look at, from my perspective in the 4th District, you know, at the budget time, how the priority of fixing roads in the unincorporated county occur. And they actually, the staff does a good job, but when we have what is perceived a disparity, that's why we have boards of supervisors, so that we can make valid, persuasive arguments at budget time, which is not happening in the 4th District right now, to try to change the priority and the funding to fix our local roads. And barring that, then, you know, I would look to my colleagues on the board if I had an extreme need, and work out some kind of an arrangement where we would get the most critical road fixed in exchange for our assistance in District 4 on one of theirs in the future. So passing a tax is a big issue in Watsonville and Pajaro Valley if Measure G passes, I'll tell you that.
Thank you. Dana?
I think that the transportation needs are extremely important and need to always be at the top of the list of things that the County Board of Supervisors has to address. As you pointed out, there are dwindling funds, and there have been dwindling funds for a very long time, especially since we've had such a bad economy recently. And you've looked at cuts happening that should never have happened, but we had to do it because you have to make the budgets work. We do need to sit down and decide what the priorities are. In the 4th District, where I'm from, now it's different probably in every district in this county, but when you're going down a country road, which we have plenty of in Watsonville, the Pajaro Valley, and you're going down the road and you come to a stop sign in the middle of nowhere, and to wait for the car, if there is a car, that's literally 20 feet in front of you at another stop sign because the roads are washed out. I'm getting a kick out of some of the campaign statements that are being made by some of our candidates down the 4th District saying, we need new sidewalks, we need new lights, we need new on and on and on. But there's been so much deferred maintenance that has to be done just to open roads up that were open before. So it's a matter of sitting down and saying, what are the priorities? What do we need to get done? So transportation is very important. And also the transportation between the north and the south of the county, because we do have jobs going back and forth. If we can bring more jobs when we bring more jobs into the Pajaro Valley. That will ease up some of it because you won't have so many people commuting across the county. But there has to be a priority given to get that artery that is known as Highway 1 moving. And what we've done in the past and continue to do is take that bottleneck and just move it down another half a mile or mile. There needs to be a more comprehensive plan of making it happen. I would actually support bringing it to a vote, that there be taxes to make that kind of stuff happen. But what you have to do, and what I've learned as an elected official in the past, is you have to offer something to every district so they can buy in. It's not a matter of we're going to build a bigger highway from Watsonville to Santa Cruz that benefits the people who commute. What are you doing within the local communities, within the local districts, where they benefit also? There has to be that buy-in. And if you can convince the voters to do it, I think the least you can do is take a shot of trying to make it happen. I wouldn't just say, wouldn't have a chance if this tax passes or that tax passes. Measure G is currently on our ballot, and that's for police and fire. And I'm hoping it passes. I'm supporting it. I'm putting my name on it, saying I'm supporting it. I also supported a school bond, and that passed with flying colors. And what I've seen is that if people can sit down and convince people that this is something we need and something they'll benefit from, then those kind of things happen. But if they decide they don't want to, then we have to live within our means and find other ways to do it. And I actually believe that there's going to be more money coming from the state, but it's incumbent upon us as supervisors to make sure we spend it correctly and where the priorities are.